Welcome back to yet another episode of the Crypto News podcast, where we talk about cryptocurrency and the world around it. I'm your host, Nelson Ricardo.x, and I'm joined with my co-host.
Lamont Astwood, aka Crypto Lambo.
And on this episode, we're going to be talking about something that's really near and dear to all of us, payments in the Caribbean and how you actually can accept it. And today we actually have a very interesting guest, someone that I have personally been following for like years now, someone who is a digital nomad, they're a digital marketer, they're well known for their understanding of how tech can be used in the Caribbean. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Mr. Keron Rose.
Pleasure to be here, man. Thank you for having me.
Keron, so this is, I think, a very great time to have you because, we have definitely been seeing some of the things that have been happening inside of like Trinidad. And what's interesting is that it actually mirrors some of the struggles that we actually have here in the Bahamas. And it begs the question, are these same things with like payment solutions also happening inside of like the other Caribbean countries, But first and foremost, I really want the audience to get to know you. So I know that you've built a strong presence across the Caribbean as a digital marketer, an
Yeah.
e-commerce specialist, educator. How did your journey into digital entrepreneurship and e-commerce begin?
Well, once again, thank you for having me. And I mean, my journey started off when I moved. I moved to Trinidad 2014, and I've been in the smartphone industry, the smartphone and tech space from since I was about 19, and doing my thing in Canada. So when I moved to Trinidad in 2014, I was able to come at a perfect time where the technology was now starting to kind of ramp up throughout the region. But I realized really quickly one of the biggest differences between North America and the Caribbean is that we don't really have many spaces that we can go to learn about anything tech related, right? In Canada, we have free courses to learn app development, for smartphone photography, website development, e-commerce. These are free courses taught throughout, whether it's university and it's night school classes, whether you go into Best Buy, they have the Geek Squad, they do classes inside there. I used to work at Apple. I was part of the iPhone team. And again, we have all these free workshops that we would do inside of Apple. So when I moved to Trinidad, I realized very quickly there's just no spaces to learn about anything tech related, right? And to this day, 2025, we still don't have any spaces to go in and truly learn about technology throughout the Caribbean. So what we do have is we have more events, right? We'll have events, but those are always one-off events. There is just no real places to go. So when I moved, I had started off learning how to tech blog or learning how to blog, right? And in me wanting to kind of fill that gap in regards to teaching people about smartphone technology and whatnot, I had to go and learn a number of skill sets. So I had to go learn how to blog. I had to go learn how to build my own website. So I learned web development. Then naturally, when you build a website, you want to get traffic. So I had to learn about, how do we even build traffic to a website, which brought me down the road of learning search engine optimization. So I became an SEO specialist. Then I got into content marketing because you learn really quickly. You gotta create content to drive traffic to your platforms. So when I learned those key skill sets, when I was blogging about smartphones and the technology, the next logical question would be, people wanted to purchase the technology and whatnot. They wanted to purchase the tech. So I then started to learn, how do I then go and get products to come in to bring products down? I opened up a physical store in 2017. When I had the physical store and I'm still creating all this content, that allowed me to get brand partnerships, do workshops, do a bunch of different things that I never really thought was going to happen when I first started the journey. But in creating all this content and doing all these workshops and starting to get featured in media as being a tech guy and starting to guest write for Loop Caribbean and started getting featured in a variety of different media platforms, I was being taken away from the physical store a lot more. And I realized really quickly, I'm doing all this work with workshops and training and content creation, and I'm getting paid for my intellectual property. And there's really almost no overheads in doing that. Very little overheads in doing that, right? And when I was looking at what I was doing with my store and everything that has to go into the physical store, I decided after 6 months to close down my physical store and double down on anything related to my intellectual property. Problem is, people still wanted to buy the phones. They still wanted to buy the devices. They still wanted to buy the services. So I had to learn, how am I going to sell to everybody whilst I'm still mobile, whilst I'm still doing all these other things? How do I build something where people could still go and purchase the products? So that forced me to then learn e-commerce. But here's the problem. There's nowhere in the Caribbean to learn about e-commerce. There's nowhere. There's nowhere, right? There's nowhere to learn about any of these things. To this date in 2025, you can't walk into a university. You can't walk into a store. There is no company. There's nobody. And it behooves me to this day that this is still things that there's no spaces for them. When I learned e-commerce, I had to network with every single company around the region offline. So in networking with everybody and everybody willing to share their knowledge with me, that helped me with my business. But then everybody started to come to me and they were like, wait a minute, how are you selling online? You know, who built your website? How are you showing up on Google? How are you taking payments through your website? How are you doing all these things? Who's doing it for you? And I'm like, who's doing it for me? I'm like, there's no one to do it for me. There's nobody I can hire to do it for me. I had to learn all of these skill sets on my own. And that just started to grow louder and louder and louder. And by the time 2018 rolled around, I was starting to do small workshops to just, I kind of hate to do one-on-one because it's time consuming and you're still trading your time, right?
Yeah.
So I started to do small workshops in 2018, 2019, just showing people how I was doing all the things I was doing behind the scenes for my business. And then, you know, fast forward to 2020, when everything happened and everything shut down because of the pandemic, there was nobody regionally that had any content on e-commerce for the Caribbean. So 2020, my phone never stopped ringing. And 5 years later, my phone has never stopped ringing to this day when it comes to building your digital presence, doing e-commerce, creating digital revenue streams. I was doing all these things for my business. And again, because there's just been no space to teach it, that just became the next step in my own journey. So after when the pandemic started, that really got the ball rolling for me. Fast forward 5 years later, this has kind of just been the evolution of my brand. So yeah, that's just kind of how I got started, the quick and dirty version.
I love
Yeah.
that. I love that.
That's interesting because I was kind of cyber stalking you. So I was looking at your timeline on your website and I really like how you broke down like everything from 2015, 17, 18, and you like basically captured chapters of your life. I don't know if you look at it like that, but those are chapters of your life, you know, and I really found that interesting. And I just wanted to ask you something like being from the Caribbean, being a fellow Caribbean brother, right? A lot of people who grow up in the Caribbean, we don't tend to like think outside of our, I don't like to say bubble, but a lot of entrepreneurs, business people and professionals, we tend to always think in the context of the country we live in. We very rarely think that, all right, we could do business in Europe, whereas the world is becoming more globalized and stuff like that. So like what has been like some of the key, like I want to know like your mindset shifts since you started earning money online and you step in this thing being a digital nomad. Like that is something I'm like that term right there sounds like it's really interesting. It's an interesting term, but like what has been like a mindset shift almost since you started that?
I think the greatest mindset shift I had was when I got like my first big paycheck for a piece of intellectual property that I did, a piece of content that I did, where I was creating content about technology. This is like in my tech blocking days with Droid Island. So this is like
Yeah.
2016, 2017, like when I got like my first proper paycheck. And one of our telecom companies reached out to me and they're like, hey, we want you to do a 1-minute video talking about 4G LTE and explaining it because, you know, you're doing it. There's nobody else really breaking on tech the way that you break it down. So like, give us a 1-minute video talking about the benefits of LTE and send us your invoice. And at that point, I only had like 1,000 followers. I wasn't nobody other than just now getting started, now putting my thoughts and ideas out there. And I didn't know how to price myself at that point in particular time because there's no real there's no real guideline that anybody's going to give you for how you price yourself, especially when we're talking about you being a brand, other than, you know, price yourself so that your fixed expenses for whatever you have to do are covered, and then you kind of just put a markup for whatever you're going to earn, right? But I remember it took me a while to figure that out. But at the end result was that invoice I gave them for the 1-minute video where I charged them 2,500 US, and they said done. They didn't even barter. They didn't even try to negotiate. They done, done. And it hit me, right? Because I'm like, 2,500 US for a 60-second video. And when I went to my videographer and I was like, yo, I want to do this video, whatever the case is, how much you need? He's like, yo, just give me, he's like, give me, what did he tell me at the time? He told me 1,500 TT, because it was a quick video. He was like, give me 1,500 TT. I was like, all right, cool. And that changed everything for me, because now I started to learn about the value of my time. And when you have a business and you think about all the amount of time you spend in your business trying to craft your business, to get paid significant amounts of money for just showing up or doing a small amount of work just really changes your perspective on how you go about earning. So once I got that check for the 2,500 US for a 60-second video, my mindset became, well, how do I keep on doing this, right? How do I keep on creating valuable content that is valuable to people with the resources, so that now they want me to be an ally and a partner with them on that mission, because they're a telco company. They're in the tech space. You got to go to them to purchase all the devices. You got to purchase them to purchase your service. And they also don't even have the right trainers to teach their own company, their own internal sales reps on technology, right? They don't have the type of infrastructure for training that I was getting back in Canada. So I saw all these opportunities, and it just shifted everything for me, right? So now I really started to double down on the educational side. It gave me a lot more motivation to really focus on the educational side of the business, teaching not just the public, but then also now getting into the corporate spaces to train the reps on smartphone technology. And the bigger my name got within the tech space, when I'm looking at my analytics on my websites, and most importantly, the sales coming in, the bigger I got, the more traffic came to my website, which meant the more sales kept coming in. And that was all happening semi-passively, because yes, I'm still putting in the work to create all the content, to do all the other things that I'm doing, but that's directly impacting the traffic to my website and the money coming in. So that allowed me now to, before I became a full-fledged digital nomad, where I'm doing it outside of the country, it allowed me to be a digital nomad within Trinidad and Tobago, because now I'm not physically tied to a location. It doesn't matter where I was. I could be training, and I'm getting email notifications that sales are coming into the websites. I could go on radio and talk and have a tech segment, and then my phone's blowing up because sales are coming into the website. That is a whole paradigm shift, because now what I'm earning isn't tied to a physical location. It also isn't tied to me trading my time for money. It's happening when I'm sleeping, 2 o'clock in the morning. If you've ever, I mean, you guys in the crypto space, I'm sure it's happening to you guys as well. But 2 o'clock in the morning, when you wake up to go to the bathroom and get a drink of water, and you see new orders coming in, that does a lot to you. Because now you're like, wait a minute, why am I going to go and work a 9 to 5? Where I have to trade my time for money? Why don't I really try to figure this thing out? How do I start to really drive traffic to my platforms for e-commerce to happen? And as you start to do that, you just start to see that there are new avenues to earning revenue start to open up. So now you start seeing, oh, well, you're getting traffic to your website. Now affiliate marketing becomes a thing for you. So now you can start getting into Amazon affiliate marketing and other platforms that offer affiliate services, and that's bringing in a revenue stream. Then you're getting the brand partnerships. That's another revenue stream. The e-commerce is a revenue stream. Next thing you know, YouTube starts opening up, and I'm getting paid through YouTube as well. So that's another revenue stream. So when you now have this portfolio of digital revenue streams, that creates new opportunities for you. So I was telling you guys off air that, for the past couple of years, I've been heavy in Bahamas. I've been in Bahamas a whole lot, between Bahamas and Jamaica. those are the two islands I think I frequented the most just because of all the partnerships that I had built up over the past couple of years. So even when the pandemic finished and now companies like BTC, companies like Flow, now they're flying me around the region to start sharing my knowledge on e-commerce and digital marketing, my business is still running. And all I need is my laptop. I'm still getting paid. But I think what happened in 2021 going into 2022, I think the biggest shift was when I decided to no longer do my Droid Island business, because Droid Island business, even though it was e-commerce and I no longer had a physical store, it was still a physical product. And there were still things that have to be done when you're dealing with physical products. I decided in 2021, going into 2022, that I would no longer do Droid Island because I didn't want to handle any physical products. I just wanted to double down on my IP. And once I did that, where now I'm 100% not attached to anything physical, that paved the way nicely to be a full-fledged digital nomad. So I was a digital nomad since about 2018, 2019, because everything was online. But you see, once I stopped doing the physical products, where now I truly only need my laptop to earn money, well, that just opened up everything for me, where now it doesn't matter where I'm at. I can still earn and do my thing regardless of where in the world I'm at. And I had good practice just being able to travel throughout the Caribbean and back in Canada and back in the US, just doing my thing where I'm still earning money and nothing was slowing down.
Definitely.
That's
Definitely.
crazy.
Like that.
That
That's
is
where you get into trading. Instead of trading your time for money, you're trading value for money now.
There we go. And that changes everything. And even if you could do it on the smallest scale, that's the mindset shift where you're like, yo, I can't go back to trading my time. However, if you do have to trade my time, because I still do trade my time when I do workshops, when I do trainings, but now the value of that goes way up. So when I do have to trade my time, when I do have to physically show up for something, I'm getting paid to the value of the problems that I solve and the value of the people that I'm solving those problems for. So I have no problem showing up to do a workshop or to do a training, because now I'm getting paid a whole lot more and I don't have to do those things all the time. I do those things here and there because they still bring a lot of value to the people, to the audience, to our clients, but they also bring a lot of value in terms of revenue. But now that I've built this portfolio of different ways to earn money, they all balance each other out nicely. And then I think the next level to being a digital nomad is, yes, I was doing it throughout the Caribbean, but the Caribbean is still a very expensive region altogether. Bahamas is expensive. I remember I was in Bahamas and we went to a bar. And I'm like, I told them, yo, give me a Heineken. And they're like, that'll be $10. I'm like, what's the currency in Bahamas? They're like, they're like, it's 1-to-1 with the US. I'm like, $10 for a beer? I'm like, that is like 6 or 7 beers in Trinidad, right? So you see how expensive it is in the Caribbean to do anything. So the next mindset shift I had was in 2023, I got booked for an event in Colombia. And Colombia was like the first place where my money really stretched in Colombia, where I was like, wait a minute, you could live good out in Colombia, right? Our money goes far in Colombia. And when I left Colombia in 2023, I went back again last year in May 2024 with every intention to move to Colombia. And I was there for like 2 weeks with my family. And when I left, I was like, yeah, I'm going to move to Colombia. And then I decided when I left, I decided to do a little bit more homework on places that digital nomads what were the best places for digital nomads. Throughout that research period, Thailand came up and a couple of other places. And when I saw the costs of living in some of these countries, that was the next big mental shift, because now I started to get into geo arbitrage, which is earning a higher currency and living in a lower cost economy. And when I saw the cost of living in Thailand, I'm like, listen, I want to make more money, yes, but I don't want to work harder. So the easiest thing is to the same money I'm making right now, everything I'm doing, everything I've put in place over the years since 2018, that was training for right here, right now. Now I could literally pick up myself, fly to the other half of the world, where now all of my expenses, rent for my condo, groceries, everything, I spend less than 900 US a month. And everything else is just pocketed and reinvested into either personal development or for my business or for my expensive ass daughter. So it works. It all works out. But that was the next big paradigm shift that I had making that move to Thailand with this lower cost economy.
Like 900 a month.
Like,
Yo, our rent is 1,500.
My condo is 400 US. My condo, my brand spanking new condo is 400 US a month.
I can't get you a parking space over there. Lock on for a
Nowhere. It can't get you you can't get your parking space nowhere.
So listen, what you are describing is almost a dream for most Caribbean people. And I feel as if many Caribbean people still feel as if that it's impossible, that it's just a fantasy. Because they just simply don't know how, they don't know the right tools, they don't know like what systems are needed to do something like that. So my question to you would actually be, from your experience, what are some of the ways that Caribbean entrepreneurs and freelancers are currently getting paid online? And what tools and platforms have actually worked for you?
So when it comes to the average Caribbean freelancer, right now everybody is just either trading their time for money, they're providing a service, which is good. That's step one. I think once you can figure out a skill set that you like and you can figure out who your audience is and you can convince them, because Caribbean wide, getting anybody to do anything digital is is a
A
problem.
headache.
Right?
A headache.
It's a headache. we ain't trying to, evolve the way that we need to evolve and tap in the way that we need to tap in. So that's still a challenge. So anytime somebody can at least learn a new skill set, whatever that skill set may be, and be able to provide that in a digital or remote format, then I think you're winning already. But that's typically how the average person who's doing anything remote or digital is earning money, providing a service. When you want to, step the game up now you got to figure out what are the active streams of income and what are the passive streams of income. So the active is going to be, the high value things, the one-to-one. Anytime you have to trade your time for money, especially in a one-on-one segment, that has to be your premium product, right? That has to be the most expensive thing. Then after that, you want to get into what we like to call one-to-many. So you, the person, need to speak to as many people as possible. So the next step after the one-to-one being at the top of the pricing chain, then you want to start to get into group workshops. Whenever you can get into group workshops, remote workshops, things like that, where now it's just you and you can speak to a group of people, you can scale, because now you could put, if just using a Zoom room, for example, on a basic Zoom platform, you could put 100 people in a room. If 100 people are going to pay you a set of money, that's how you can scale, right? So that's the next thing. Are you building your brand enough? Are you building your expertise enough that people would even want to follow you to that point where they want to get into a room with you and learn from you? So group workshops is another level right below the one-on-ones, where again, it's active because you have to show up, but you can scale because you have a multitude of people coming in. After group workshops or one-to-many events, now we can get into digital products, right? Something that you can create one time that can be replicated over and over and over again. So now I have my Digipreneur Academy. I've all of my knowledge and information I've productized, I've put into courses that I have. So now for the people that, maybe you can't afford me one-on-one, the next level will be come into one of my group workshops. But even if the group workshops are priced too high, because usually my group workshops will be about 50 US for entry to come into a group workshop. If 50 US is too much, great, no problem. Go down to the next tier. That's going to be the actual digital courses. I usually sell the courses at half the price because I do not have to actively participate in a digital course. I've created it once and I can sell through scale because it's already created and people can access it from anywhere in the world. I usually sell that at a lower price because I do not have to actively be there. That's another great way that people are earning money digitally right now. And then if you're not even ready to purchase a course, let's just say you're still at that phase where you're still getting to know the person and you're still consuming their content, but now you got to find all the ways to monetize your free content. So my website, I have Google AdSense on my website. So all of my content on my website is monetized. My website brings in a revenue for me just by you reading the content. I'm heavy into affiliate marketing. So again, all of my content throughout. Once it makes sense, I have affiliate content, whether it's from Amazon products that I use or whatever the case is, or even other companies where I use their services. For example, I'm in digital marketing. Naturally, people always want to ask me, what are the courses that you are going to take so that you can upskill yourself? There are courses that I paid for, and all of those courses usually have an affiliate program. So when I recommend somebody to go and take that course, I earn a commission off of that as well. Affiliate marketing is a great way to earn money off of your free content. I monetize on YouTube, so YouTube brings me revenue as well. So there are a multitude of ways that your free content can monetize. So every step of the journey, you have a way to generate revenue. And that is something I would love to see more Caribbean people do. Right now, we're still stuck on either just providing a service and trading our time for money without expanding into the other areas when we're talking about digital revenue streams that we could be tapping into.
Serious,
All
dude.
right.
That for our audience, and when child, that is an entire playbook on how to actually make money online. That if you're
No,
not taking this seriously, I don't know what to tell you.
and not just the audience. I was taking notes. I don't know if y'all saw me writing. I was actually writing out. I was really taking what you was like. Oh, that was the whole sauce right there. That was something a lot of people you have to pay them to tell you.
Listen,
Stuff like that.
and the thing is, right? It doesn't, and we gatekeep a lot because we
Yeah.
also like to feel like people need to pay us for everything. But the problem is that you got to be in a position where you should be able to give away any and everything that you can do, because that's going to build a trust. Ultimately, even when you give it away, there's only 1% of people that are ever going to action anything you're talking about anyway. And usually when they're ready to take action, they're still so afraid to take action that they will then go and pay you your one-on-one fees to hold their hand and just be there right with them to do and execute the same things that you gave away for free. So I've never gatekeeped. Gatekeeping, not gatekeeping, is what has allowed me to travel throughout the entire region and put me in the position I am today. Because at the end of the day, every single thing that I talk about, the next logical step for people is, hey, we want you to hold our hand whilst we try to do these things. Or they will say, okay, we know that you are the person with the information and we like how your system is set up. We don't want to do it ourselves. We just want to pay you to do it for us. And that's another way where we could generate revenue done for you, right? So you can either do it with me, where we do one-on-ones, we do group coaching, or you're taking the courses, or done for you as a service, where you just hire me to just go and do whatever it is that we were talking about, and I go in and do it for you. And that's another revenue stream that is a part of my business flow as well.
Yeah. Trust me, like how you said that just now. Little background about myself. I work in the financial industry. I have a degree in finance. And just like what you said just now, it's the same concept of like where investors will give their money to investment managers for them to manage the money as opposed to them managing them itself.
Correct.
It's just that it almost feels as though like when you have that layer of trust and that brand and that visibility, it does create a level of confidence that people places in you. So the idea of actually giving away information for free and not gatekeeping actually makes sense, because it's like you're building that rapport with the individual and they know like, all right, this guy is an expert. He gives us all this stuff. So if I'm going to reach out or I need anyone to guide me, he's the person who I probably need to speak to.
Exactly.
But allow me to pivot for a bit, right? Now, when it comes to making money online, especially in the Bahamas, it seems as though like there's a lot of issues with like payment systems in certain Caribbean countries. I don't know if you will give any insight on like any blocks, because I think, Nelson, if I'm not mistaken, Bahamians on YouTube still can't get paid, or they will have
So
to go.
Bahamians on YouTube don't know how to get paid. Now, this is one of the things. This is one of the things that I've definitely watched Keron speak about. So I'm not gonna say that they can't get paid. I would say that they don't know how to get paid.
See, now we need to clip this. If you're a Bahamian YouTuber and you want to know how to get paid, you need to watch this.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. It's just that people don't know how to get paid, right? Everybody who is monetized on YouTube, they don't have to do anything. As soon as you meet the threshold, you're going to get an email from YouTube saying, hey, You meet the threshold. Do you want to join the YouTube partnership program? The reason why people think they can't get paid is because of two things, and only these two things. One, they themselves have not met the threshold, which is 1,000 subs, 4,000 watch hours, right? Because if you hit that, you're automatically going to get the YouTube. You're automatically going to get the email to join the program throughout the entire Caribbean. The second reason people think they can't monetize on YouTube in the Caribbean is because they go to the YouTube partner website. When they look at the help section, they don't see any Caribbean country listed there. They throw their hands up in the air and they say, "Oh, well, I guess we can't monetize," right? The problem is it's Google AdSense that pays you. So when you get qualified, they tell you immediately to open up a Google AdSense account. When you go to the Google AdSense website and you see all the eligible countries, every single Caribbean country is there listed in the Google AdSense help section, telling you that yes, you can get paid through Google AdSense. And that is what is actually going to be paying you through the YouTube partnership program, right? So you create that account. It's going to be a USD account. They're going to pay you in USD. They wire transfer all of the money to whatever bank account you give them in your home country. Or if you don't want to use wire transfer and for some reason you'd like to get a check in the mail for whatever your reasons are, they will cut you a check and they will mail you a check, right? So we have always been able to get paid. I know people in Trinidad that have been monetizing YouTube for like 15 years. So I never understood why anybody across the region never thought they could get paid, because everybody who is monetized is getting paid. Once you hit the threshold, you get the email. So I've never had an issue. There has never been an issue. Even before I was monetized on YouTube, my website was monetized and I was earning money from Google just from my content on my website where Google was cutting checks. So I never understood why people thought they could not get paid, especially because Google has never made it easier. If you don't enter in your bank details, they cut you a check. The first time I got paid, the first 2 times I got paid was through checks, just because I forgot to set up my bank account information. And then after that, I'm just like, man, I don't want to be going into the bank, whatever the case. Let me go in, log into AdSense. Let me go add my accounts, whatever. So now it's just direct deposits into my bank account every time my website hits the threshold for the content there, or I hit the threshold for the YouTube account and my YouTube channel goes ahead and pays me over there.
That is
See,
that's
clip that.
mind-boggling.
Make sure I clip that. that's a clip right there. That's a great
I've
clip
never
right there.
understood it. I've never understood it. Like, and the thing is, right? And here's a problem with and this is the problem Caribbean wide. We just want to give ourselves excuses to keep ourselves chasing mediocrity. Because people will come to my workshops, they will watch the content. Imagine you are watching a video of me showing you it's going into my Trinidad and Tobago account. And I use my Trinidad. So yes, I was raised in Canada, but I use all my Trinidad stuff to give no Caribbean person an excuse. Don't ever come to me with woe is me, because I came here 10 years ago. It could never be that I just came and I'm doing all of these things. What is your excuse? So I only ever use my TT stuff just to prove a point that you have no excuse. All right?
I'm pretty sure you just blew a lot of people's minds just now, including mine. But one of the things you just said was, a lot of Caribbean people, we find ways to chase mediocrity and we find a lot of excuses, right? One of the main excuses would be, we sometimes believe that there are certain blockages to us. Because I'm not going to lie, in the Caribbean, or at least I could speak definitely for the Bahamas, things move slow, you know? Things move like very slow. There's a lot of complexities, a lot of tediousness, a lot of paperwork for whatever it is that you want to do.
Caribbean wide.
Caribbean wide. So when we talk about these blockages, right? What do you think are the main culprits of many of these blockages that a lot of Caribbean people claim that they experience? Is it government policies, banks, just the digital adoption across the region? What is it?
Information. That's the biggest problem. Is that in Canada, in North America, somebody's already done it. Somebody has already taught it. There's companies, there's places you can go to learn about all these things. You don't have to figure this thing out on your own, because there's so many resources available to go and learn whatever it is that you're trying to learn. How many people are talking about YouTube monetization and how to do it? Typically, everybody that is monetized on YouTube is not going to tell you how to monetize on YouTube because they all want to gatekeep the information. We have problems where collectively we want to gatekeep and we don't want to help the next person level up. And it's always been weird to me. I mean, people might take this as a compliment, but it's a weird compliment to me. Where to this day, people be like, the way that you don't gatekeep information is so commendable. And I'm just like, but that's all I know, because that is how the rest of the world is. We are the oddballs in the Caribbean where we don't want to share information. All we want to do is gatekeep. It's a crab in a barrel mentality. We won't get into politics or their history or whatever, but it stems from the history, right? We don't want to help each other grow. As much as we say we want to help each other, we don't want to help each other grow because we gatekeep. We don't want to help people out. And that's why every single time you want to ask somebody a basic question or get basic information, you have to pay somebody to get the information. You can't just Google the information because nobody wants to share. And that is a problem that we face in the Caribbean. That's not something I'm accustomed to. The reason why every single one of us can Google something and all the information that we get is from outside is because the rest of the world doesn't gatekeep. But here's where the blockages or the perceived blockages happen. The problem is, and this is I think what has allowed me to be me, and do the things that I'm doing, is because I'm that bridge between two worlds. I spent my first 28 years of my life is all Canada and North America. I've only been in Trinidad for 10, and I'm in Thailand now for a year, right? The perceived problems is that every single time we Google, the information we get is from the North American market, the UK market, the other things. The challenge is Caribbean people don't have discernment because if you've never lived in multiple countries to know, okay, this information only works in that country, this is not going to work over here. If you haven't lived in multiple countries, you can't discern the information you are getting. So for me, every single time, right, from the day I landed in Trinidad, when I would go to conferences or whatever the case is, like I remember like Damon John, this is a good example too. I remember Damon John came to Trinidad and Damon John was talking about building wealth or whatever the case is. And everybody, standing ovation. Oh my God, this is amazing. And I was like, well, you can't do none of this in Trinidad. This is all, you can't do none of this here. This is only good in America. We can't do none of these things. So whenever we're Googling things, I'm immediately discerning information immediately. This is not for us. This can't be done. We don't have access to this. Oh, okay, if I want to do this, I got to use a North American account or I got to use my Canadian account. I'm always discerning, but the Caribbean person who has never lived in another country cannot discern because they simply do not know. That's not a diss. That's not bashing. That just is what it is. Yeah. If you've never lived in other places, then you do not know what is for your market versus what is for our market. And so every single time people are Googling things, they are 80% of the information. It's not that it's bad. It's just it's not relevant for us. So they then spend their time, they spend their money, they go in and sign up for things like Squarespace, Shopify, all these different platforms. They spend their money, they spend their time building out these things. And then when it comes down to payments, they realize, oh, wait a minute, we don't Stripe? I can't get access to Stripe? How am I going to get paid? And it's like, but how did you not know that from the beginning? And then I learned over time, well, yeah, I'm born in Trinidad, yes, but I lived my life in Canada. I know what I need for Stripe to work, but I immediately knew from day one, Stripe was never going to work for us unless we register our businesses in the US or another country. So that is the greatest problem, that Caribbean people, because we haven't lived in multiple countries, don't have the discernment to know what information will work and is relevant for our market. And then to take it a step further, what information is relevant to your specific island? What is going to work in your specific island, right? Because then I've had to go about learning, oh, you guys might not have this in Bahamas, or you might have to do this instead in the Bahamas, or use these services in the Bahamas, or whatever the case is. So that only came because I've been traveling throughout different countries, learning different systems, where now I can discern the information. And even now that I'm in Thailand, the best part is, as much as I'm seeing how the Asians are doing things, 90% of the stuff we can't do in the Caribbean, but now I can take all of the things I'm learning over here and I can start planting information in the Caribbean and say, hey, these are things that we need. These are things we're doing over here. And I can now plant those seeds, hopefully for somebody else to pick up the torch and go and run with it. Or if there are some things that we can actually do, my job now is to figure out what are the ways that we could make this thing work and make it relevant for our market. And, that's one of the reasons why I've been able to excel the way that I have been over the past couple of years.
I like that. I like that. And what you mentioned, like all you mentioned about traveling and all that, and knowing like what works in your country it really brought me back to like one of my mentors, right? Very successful guy, right? And me and him was having a conversation, and he did like a workshop. That's where I met him, right? And we ended up becoming really, really like we developed a good friendship, right? And he said traveling really helped him because a lot of his businesses he's created, he just traveled to another country and he saw something that he didn't see in the Bahamas. And he just came back to the Bahamas and was like, all right, how are we going to get this started? And he did it. And like, he's making a lot of money from those businesses. And it's basically like you got to have, and it's what probably you had from growing up in Canada, you had a lot of exposure to different things. So it goes back, it's like a piggyback off of Nelson's question. Do you think like stuff holding us back is like fear, lack of education? Because you did mention that earlier, just a lot of people don't have information, and you had to bring a lot of the stuff that they teach you in Canada back to Trinidad and Tobago, because a lot of like the training programs, a lot of companies are not teaching the people there. So it was like, would you say fair information, like you mentioned, but would you say fear plays a big role in like why a lot of Caribbean people don't really like explore different avenues of making money, or what would you think?
Yeah, I think you're always gonna fear what you don't understand. And the fact that there's no places that you can go that is going to hold your hand to show you all these things, that has always been the biggest differentiating factor between North America, Asia as well, and the Caribbean. There's nowhere I can go. And I teach in universities as well in the Caribbean. There's still nowhere to go to learn 90% of the things that are going to help you in the digital space in the Caribbean. There's nowhere. So people fear what they don't understand. And if it is that every single time you're Googling something and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing stuff, and you don't have that discernment because you haven't lived in other countries, if you don't have that discernment to know that this is not for your market, or if you're going to take this piece of information, you have to adapt it to your market, or you got to do things a little bit differently because the tools or the access is different. If you don't know how to do that and you keep running into this wall every single time, then you're just going to throw your hands up in the air and you're just going to say like, well, it can't be done. All right. So there's a fear because people don't understand, and they don't understand because there's no places to this day that you can go to learn any of the things that we're talking about. Where do you go to learn about cryptocurrency in the Bahamas? Where do you go to learn about cryptocurrency in the Caribbean? Trinidad and Tobago is passing a law. Well, right. You guys are creating a space, right? Just like me, I'm creating my own space, but take you out of the picture. Forget us, for example. What institution, what company with all the resources, who is investing? It doesn't exist. And that is the biggest Achilles heel in the Caribbean. That is why we are not progressing the way that we should be progressing, is simply because we're just not making the right investments into the right things. Bahamas is actually still ahead in terms of where they are thinking in terms of progress. And the thing is, and again, here's the other part about the Caribbean too. I love your face, Nelson, because you're gonna love what I'm gonna say. But here's the thing: you see the headlines, and the headlines don't always show what's happening on the ground, or don't reflect what's happening on the ground. So we see, the Bahamas is they're into Web3. They're doing all these things. Wow, they seem to be taking crypto. You can pay with crypto like you're seeing all these things because of headlines. And then you speak to everybody on the ground and you're like, yo, you guys are doing some great things over there. Yo, I can't wait for that to come over here. And you're like, what? Who told you that? And you're like, check this article out. And you're just like, really? So when we think of who is leading the Caribbean in the digital space, you know who the two countries are that come to mind? Jamaica and Bahamas. And every time I talk to my Jamaican counterparts and my Bahamian counterparts, like tap. It's a lot of posturing, it's a lot of headlines. So that's impacting everything as well.
I like that. All right.
We love a good headline, you know. We love a good headline. We love the front page. We love to just talk about all the things we're not doing. And then every time you think progress is happening, right? But listen, the three countries, Jamaica, Bahamas, Barbados, every time I talk to everybody in these islands, they're like, it's cap. It's not happening.
Listen, we love to play. we love to play.
That's
Like,
all of it. Self-promotion, that's it. Self-promotion. All that is really, hey, come invest in us.
All right,
Come
Lamar, I
invest in
think
us.
it's your question. Like,
Right. So we talk a lot about like getting paid online. I don't know if you deal or like what's your angle or what's your thoughts on people accepting cryptocurrency? Because me and Nelson, we're like huge proponents for crypto. And I don't know if you've been paying attention, but like what's going on with stable coins? Stable coins are gaining a lot of momentum in the crypto space because a lot of institutions are starting to adopt it to actually use it for payments. Because let's say like how, all right, Keron Rose, I don't know where you are right now. You could be in Thailand, Brazil, Afghanistan, whatever, right? Let's say if I have to give you some money and instead of me going to a bank and wiring it or sending you a check through the mail, which I know you hate, I could just get your crypto address and just send you whatever, how much money it is. So what's your thoughts on people using crypto in a way to do payments online?
So I think anytime, and generally speaking, I think you should be taking as many forms of payments as possible. You come to Asia, you come to Thailand, and you want to go and buy a soda from a vending machine. The vending machine literally takes over 20 different types of digital wallets for payments. And they're taking coins and banknotes as well. All right. So anytime you could take whatever form of payment, take as many payments as possible, because the last thing you want is friction when somebody is trying to buy. Now, here's the thing with crypto. The main reason why I have never got into crypto yet is because the last 10 years, when crypto really blew up, I've been in Trinidad, and the banks and the financial system over there has blocked almost all forms of crypto known to man. So I haven't even been able to be in an environment just yet where I could actually use crypto the way that it's meant to be used. Right now, everybody that I know that's in the crypto space is doing workaround after workaround. Matter of fact, just last night, one of my friends sent me an email from, he's using a crypto platform. I think it's in Australia. And they just sent him a letter saying that, hey, they've reviewed their operations and they have now removed Trinidad and Tobago from a country that they're doing business with. So he has 30 days to remove all of his assets. They don't know where, he doesn't even know where he's going to put it, because Trinidad has also announced they're doing a full 2-year ban on any and all crypto-related activities, where you could face jail or heavy fines for doing any type of crypto activities for the next 2 years. So I haven't dove into crypto because I have not been in an environment where I could actually do crypto on any real capacity without doing workarounds. And it gets to a point where the reason I've gotten to where I've gotten to is because I've had to learn about workaround after workaround after workaround to do any and everything related to the digital space, where it's like, do I want to learn a whole next thing where I got to learn? It's just not straightforward, where I could just go and sign up for this and just go and do it, right? And I just mentally have not been in that space yet. And now, and I mean, this, I don't want this to sound bad, but like right now, my focus is for 2026 is I'm trying to remove myself from the financial institutions of TNT altogether as best as I can, because anything I do in Trinidad is limited. And it's limited because we are struggling with our foreign exchange. The country's just not earning as much money to be able to even give out any type of foreign exchange. So all of our credit cards are limited to either 2,000 US a month, or if you're on the black cards or any of the high earning cards, you're limited to like 5,000 US a month, 5,000 US dollars a month. So I have been really focused on trying to build my practice outside of TNT so I can get paid outside of TNT. And at that point now, once everything that I do is no longer financially tied to TNT, not because I don't want to, but just because that's just the financial system that's happening in TNT. Once I get myself out of it, then I could start now thinking about, okay, what's the next thing? Let me start diving into crypto, because even right now, crypto is not necessarily a foolproof plan in Trinidad. There's a lot of workarounds that you got to do. And well, now with the 2-year ban that's about to be implemented, a lot of companies or a lot of people who have been collecting, cryptocurrencies and stable coins, they're right now shaking in their boots because they have no idea what they're going to do.
I
That's
mean,
insane.
that is crazy. Honestly, I
Like
know, like,
they're treating this like they are like this drugs or something. Like, like
But and that's what they're citing, right? They're citing that it can be used to do nefarious activities, and rather than trying to figure out um solutions as they grow, they want a 2-year period where nobody does nothing so that they can fully understand it and then create the right infrastructure to then allow people to move forward. Yeah.
that
listen,
doesn't. That's an enemy. That's literally you halting progress. Like that's
no,
literally
like
halting progress.
that is the equivalent. That is the equivalent of shooting yourself in the leg, right? Now, as Lamont and I are in the crypto space, and we have a lot of knowledge about crypto and how technology is evolving and all that good stuff, right? First and foremost, so cryptocurrency lives on something called the blockchain, basically this network, this global network, right? Those people who just need to put their cryptocurrency somewhere have the options of just probably purchasing a hardware wallet like Ledger, Trezor, or a Tangent wallet, like these physical wallets that have like digital keys that allow you to send your cryptocurrency to the wallet. They have that
Yeah.
option because everything is on the blockchain.
Yeah.
Technically, they could always send their crypto wherever they want to send their crypto, right?
Yeah.
They should be
Correct.
able to. So they could save their money. Then it's just a process of trying to figure out where they're going to send their money to turn it back into fiat or regular dollars if they want. That's where like I could see like a possible
And
issue.
therein lies our problem. So one, the banks took measures years ago where all of the credit cards, they were blocked from purchasing any type of crypto assets. So the banks blocked to be able to purchase crypto years ago, right? So that's the next thing. The banks blocked that, right? So people right now, how they were pretty much purchasing crypto is they would buy their USDT or something from somebody who already has it.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who have it, I don't even know how they're getting it, right? They probably have a way that they're obviously not going to disclose how they're going about getting their stuff. But now the problem now is, well, how do you off ramp it back into fiat so that you can actually utilize it? That's another challenge. But now with the government putting the 2-year ban, as soon as somebody even gets a whiff that you are doing anything cryptocurrency related and you get reported, bro, it's jail time.
That's insane. That's
But I know that I think on one of my LinkedIn connections I have someone in Trinidad and Tobago who actually has a whole business around cryptocurrency. So what happens to those people with businesses around
I
cryptocurrency?
said everybody's shaking in their boots, bro,
And
because it's gonna hurt everybody who is in the business of crypto in Trinidad. It's gonna impact all of them.
and even with the ways to off ramp your crypto, you could actually still look into like digital debit cards, like the Red Dot Pay card. Um, then another thing is, once again, crypto is still a currency. There are so many websites where uh, it's a bit bit site that escapes the name escapes you right now, but there are sites where you could just go and purchase things with your cryptocurrency. So it's like I'll
Yeah.
just go and purchase it and then I'll just ship it and then I'll just sell it for regular dollars. Like I have a friend who that's all they do. They just make money inside crypto and they just purchase items like PlayStations and they sell it. You know,
Yeah,
there are a
yeah.
lot of different workarounds. But that crypto ban is crazy because while Trinidad and Tobago is doing that, what we're seeing inside America as well as the rest of the world is like they're not only embracing crypto and especially doing this while like, you know, not to get into politics, right? But while Trump is in administration, and he already has like a Bitcoin reserve, and so many moves are being made to adopt cryptocurrency. Like the entire world, like China, like Africa, like a lot of African countries, is like everyone is now trying to see how much cryptos they could scoop up. And what I was trying to do is basically stop their people from doing that. that that that
Right.
that could really damage Trinidad and Tobago. And I can't even begin to like I can't even begin to think of what exactly is the particular goal. Because even if we want to talk about the money laundering thing, right? I know a lot of people their first thing about crypto is it's used for nefarious reasons and they think of money laundering. You could launder money with a car wash. You could launder money with art. You could launder money with what you call those places where you donate to
Foundations.
Charities,
Charities.
charities.
foundations. Yeah.
Yeah, you can launder money through so many different ways, and these are actually some of the preferred ways to launder money. You know,
Yes,
you could make
but
a
Yeah.
restaurant.
Nelson, they understand that. They don't
Yeah.
understand crypto. So basically the government is saying we don't understand crypto, so we're putting a 2-year ban so that we can finally understand it and get our ducks in a row because we understand the other ways that people launder money. We have legislation, we have things in place to deal with those things, whether they work or not, neither here nor there, but at least they can wrap their mind around that. When it comes to any and all things digital, they have not wrapped their mind. They haven't given it any single thought whatsoever. So let's just ban it so that nobody could do anything. And that gives us 2 years, a 2-year window to finally learn and put some things in place. Now, again, they're saying that. I can't tell you what's going to happen in 2 years. Heck, none of us can tell you what's going to happen in 2 months, right?
Yeah.
So they want 2 years. They put this ban in place where now it's fines and jail time for operating or doing anything within the crypto space. So you have to also keep in mind, because Lamont, you asked about is there a fear to do a lot of these things? And there's a fear with crypto because the government has been fear mongering with crypto for a long time. Remember, the banks banned it first. The banks blocked all credit cards to purchase any crypto, saying it's bad, right? That's already putting fear into the eyes of the people. And when you think of anything related to technology, the governments typically don't empower the people to leverage technology. The thing is, like, I remember, you know, we're in 2025. So 2022, our prime minister at the time, he got on a platform and talking about in an interview that he doesn't trust the banks. And he was the last person in government to accept direct deposit because he doesn't trust the banks. He was accepting checks up until a couple of years ago and cashing it for cash. So if your prime minister is saying that he does not trust the banks, he doesn't trust the system, our current prime minister has said she doesn't believe in cashless societies, and cashless societies are going to be used as a tool for the governments to oppress the people, when all of these are the messages from the top. Yes, there's a fear. Yes, there's no adoption because your prime ministers back to back have been fear mongering for decades on anything digital. What do you expect people to do? So there is a healthy, I can't even say healthy fear, but there's a fear to do anything related to crypto. There's a fear to do anything related to technology. Heck, you could walk into our groceries and you will see self-checkout machines empty because people don't trust the self-checkout machines. And they will line up for 20, 30, 40 minutes to do with a cashier, all because you don't trust the self-check. It's all related, and it's all fear-based coming from the top down.
Oh, it's insane. I'm sorry to hear that. It's like I don't even know what to say after that. Like, to our friends and family in Trinidad and Tobago, it's like all I could say is I'm sorry to hear that. Like
but
that
but
is
and this is and this is why the Caribbean on the whole, our biggest problem as a region is our brain drain. There's a reason why our best and brightest continue to leave the entire region in the thousands every single year, because at the end of the day, I mean, we were all young once. We all remember what it was like to be 20, and you blink two times and all of a sudden I'm 38 with a 17-year-old daughter. And it's like, well, how did we even get here? People don't want to wait for the region to wake up. People don't want to wait for our leaders to wake up and finally get with the program. People don't want to wait for those headlines we keep on reading about and all those fancy conferences we all keep on going to. People don't want to wait no more for these things to finally come to fruition, because this is costing us time. This is costing us finally building our lives. Now people are just going to figure out, well, you know what? It's not happening in the Bahamas. It's not happening in Barbados. It's not happening in Jamaica. I need to go and put myself in the best possible position so that I can take care of my family and do what's best for me and mine. So all of these things are impacting everything. And I mean, we should be further ahead because the Caribbean has a talent, but not when your Caribbean population is migrating, and we are on pace to have the largest diaspora in the world by 2027, because we cannot keep and retain our talent. This is impacting how we move and what we build, because our best people are leaving or have left, and they're busy building up every other region in the entire world.
that is a very, very sad reality to actually come to terms with. Because everything that you're saying is so true, and we also see some levels of it inside of the Bahamas, where it's like a lot of people, a lot of things. Once again, a lot of things move super slow here. Someone had asked us once, say, why is it that we started to create CryptoNoobz, teaching people about cryptocurrency instead of like just waiting for the government? And the only response that the Imagine the only response that I really could have come up with is like, what would I get waiting for the government? Like once again, it's just the idea that we're watching the world move. Like we're in the industry, we're talking with different people, different experts, and we're seeing things moving in real time. We're even watching like what's going on with the AI movement now. In the next few years, when it comes to just artificial intelligence, it's gonna be first and foremost, it's already smarter than us. It's gonna get
Yes.
more smarter than us. Then
Yes.
we're currently inside the stage where artificial intelligence where we're learning the different types of artificial intelligence. In the next 5 years, we'll be at a stage where the artificial intelligence job is to learn us. So the artificial
Agreed.
intelligence job will be to understand who we are, what it is that we like, and to try to serve us.
Yes.
Robotics, artificial intelligence, like a lot of jobs, a lot of people don't understand like this huge wave that's about to come where a lot of jobs are going to be, I would say, transformed and evolved rather than displaced. But a lot of new skills are going to be needed to survive in the upcoming world. And
Yes.
cryptocurrency, which is our main focus, that's going to be normal and regular. The
Yeah.
dollar is devaluing every year. Now,
Yeah.
back in the day, $100 could get a grocery cart full of items. I remember being a
Yeah.
kid, a grocery cart full of items. Now, as an adult, what could $100 get you at the grocery store? Less than 10 items.
Yeah. Until you come to Asia at 100 US, well, boy, that's groceries for the month.
So,
Come to Asia, that's groceries for a month. Not in the Western world for sure. Nothing.
and that's the thing is like it's sad because as a Caribbean person, you realize that this is echoed all throughout the Caribbean. That's the wildest part.
Yeah.
But what I
We're all
would
saying the
say,
same thing. We're all saying the same thing.
What I would say is though, as time goes on, hopefully we can continue to build these ecosystems and actually like inspire our people, push our people to be better, and even push our leaders to want to um invest in us to do more,
Yeah.
My next question to you, this would be our like final question because you've given us so much knowledge, so much value inside the short time that we've spoken. If you could design the ideal digital payment ecosystem for the Caribbean, what would it look like? And what would need to change first to make it a reality?
Oh boy.
That's
Our
a loaded
biggest
question.
challenge, it is, but it to me the answer has gotten simpler and simpler and simpler. When I look at, my time in Canada, my time in Trinidad and the Caribbean, and now that I'm out in Asia, we have to figure out how to build public trust in our institutions and systems. If we don't do that, nothing's gonna work. Because when you talk to when you talk to anybody and you're like, why don't you have a bank account? Babylon thing, fire for that. There's no technology's not fixing that. So we had mentioned, offline, we don't have tech problems, we have people problems. This is what I'm talking about. We don't have tech problems. We have people problems. You're not going to convince a man who thinks that a bank account is a Babylon system tool. The fact that we have at scale across the Caribbean people who either think the banking system is a Babylon thing, so they want no parts of it, or they do as minimal as they possibly can. The fact that when we do try to release some things, it doesn't come with no national educational drive, so people don't understand it. We just come with a brand new piece of tech and we say, hey, you see with this thing you can shop online, hold that. And there's no education, there's no workshops, there's no holding people's hands to really get them to understand it. People are afraid of even trying things out. You have people even afraid to just use an ATM machine because they don't understand it, right? But in North America, in Asia, there's so many spaces that people who don't understand, they can go to these places, they can go to these spaces, get the information, get the education, so that way they can try things out under supervision so that the next time they go to an ATM machine, right? I was the other day, like 10 o'clock at night, I was just taking a walk through the neighborhood and I watched this guy in his 70s, cane hunched over, walk up to an ATM. And it just, I mean, I'm not even really paying attention to him, but I just happened to watch this guy. I'm thinking he's about to go and chuck in his ATM card to start to do some banking. And I just watched this guy, and I guess it caught me because of just what he did was he walked up to the ATM. I see him pull out his phone. I see him scan something, and then I see him go to start pulling out money. And I was like, wait a minute. And then I realized he's savvy enough that he was able to, because what they do over here, you don't need a bank card over here. You just need your phone. So rather than using an ATM card in the banks here, as long as you have a bank account and you have mobile banking, you could just pull out your phone, you scan the QR code on the screen, that logs you into your bank account, or you could use your watch. That'll scan the QR code. It'll log you into your bank account. And now you can go and pay your bills at the ATM or withdraw money. You don't even need a bank card. The fact that they have all of these systems in place and the education surrounding it to get these people that are older, people who may have been fearful without the information, because we see that throughout the Caribbean, the fact that they have all the supporting infrastructure to build that confidence in the people, that is the main problem we need to solve. Because what we're doing in the Caribbean, we just keep on throwing money at the problems, spending money on tools or on systems, and just hoping people adopt it. But what is tech adoption in throughout the Caribbean? Tech adoption is almost non-existent. It almost doesn't exist. However, why is it that people will purchase products on Amazon and not spend money online with local businesses? And when you ask them, well, hey, why don't you want to pay for that local business, buy their products on the line? They're like, I don't trust them. Everything comes down to trust. Why do they shop on Amazon? Why do they shop on Walmart? It's all trust. We are not building up the trust in our institutions and our local companies. And until we do that, until the education surrounding how these things works really starts to now spread throughout the local communities, Nelson and Lamont, it doesn't matter what tech we bring out. It's never going to be used. If we do not figure out the people problems, and we're not, because up to this point, there's still no place besides CryptoNoobz and where are you going to learn about crypto? If they're not doing it like how they're doing it in the rest of the world, we're not going to be adopting anything. And to this point, in Trinidad, in the Bahamas, in Jamaica, we're not adopting anything. We're still not adopting the things that we should be adopting. And it's because there's no trust in the institutions, and the education isn't there to really teach people how to do these things, or even why they should even care. What is the benefits of these things? If you can't really educate the people on these things, then again, the technology is never going to be used. So to me, that is the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth problem, because trying to change people and show people the future who are only accustomed to the past, that is a mountain that we haven't crossed as yet. I'm not worried about the technology. The technology is always going to change. It's always going to come. There's always going to be an investor. There's always going to be somebody that has money who can throw money at a problem and invest in the technology and bring these things out. That to me, I'm not worried about. I'm worried about the fact that we can't even get people to go and purchase something from a local business online. And half the time it's because the local businesses themselves don't even think they should be building up the capacity to be able to sell to people in a digital format, because they don't understand it and they don't trust it. They rather you just give me the cash. Don't worry about no tap and pay or sending me no money online. I don't know. Just give me the cash. Give me the physical cash. So as you give me the cash, I will now hand you the product, because that's as much trust as I'm willing to give the systems. Until we figure that out, we're not moving. We're not moving ahead. And it dies right there. It dies right there.
That's just as Lamont said, that is a big problem in the Bahamas, because trust is everything. And I'm also realizing too, as our world becomes more artificial, because of our artificial intelligence, right? What I'm noticing is that there's like another shift that's happening, where now people want to actually see more people. People actually want to connect with people more. And just as you said, that trust element is going to be the key factor that differentiates a lot of businesses, a lot of people, that makes people actually want to get to you. And yeah, that trust issue is one that we also have here inside the Bahamas. Hey, we do crypto, and we have met a lot of people who got scammed out of crypto. Okay.
Bahamas is the poster child. Bahamas is the poster child for getting scammed out of crypto.
That's Fox. That's Fox.
That is Fox. You try and lose. And that's the thing, like, So when we come, saying, hey, we educate on crypto, we do things with crypto to our own people. Look at these scams.
Yeah,
that's Fox.
Yes. So, like I said, listen, I'm not worried about the technology. I'm not worried about the tools. I'm not worried about any of these things. What I see happening every single day is we are the trust in institutions is the trust in institutions is eroding faster and faster every single day. Now, when you add into the mix that AI generated generated AI content is proliferating social media platforms, people don't know what is real from what is not real. We were struggling on basic scams. You could still call somebody and say, we have a free jet to holiday. And people would be like, serious? Me? I have to give you $1,000, but I'm getting the trip, right? I'm getting the trip, and people are sending their money. And I'm sitting here like, or I'm in the wrong business. Because if I knew it was this money, if I knew it was this easy to make money, I'm in the wrong business. The trust is being eroded every single day. And because the government, because the businesses are not doing the things needed to continue to build the trust in the public, all I see is we're getting further and further and further and further away from where we would like to be. Even when you look at just the fact that we're in the Caribbean, so tourism is always going to be a thing. But when you come to the Caribbean region, everybody still thinks that, you know, you can't even use your bank card. We have to take out cash. We have to take out cash. You come to Asia, the only thing they're talking about is digital options. There's this digital option where you can go and if you have cash, you could load your money into this and use this digital wallet. Everything is, they're only talking digital, but there's a lot of trust in the institutions here. So people trust it and they're willing to use it. Then when they have questions, there's so many mechanisms to ask your question and get the information so that even if you don't know, it's easy to find out. Bro, we don't have these things happening in the region. So every day the trust is just being eroded. That is impacting what we can do and what we're going to be able to do moving forward. So when even people come in, they're still trying to transact in cash only transactions, right? And if this doesn't change, if the businesses aren't willing to trust the institutions to then now sign up for the services to then become digital, because how is a business going to accept cryptocurrency payments when you don't even have a website? You don't even have your shopping cart, your shopping list on your website. How are people going to pay you on a digital mechanism and your entire business is all completely offline? So it starts with trust. And like I said, to me, the trust factor in the institutions is the biggest problem. And the problem is so vast because it's growing every single day. That mountain gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and people are getting scammed every single day. It's eroding the trust. And that to me is a problem that we have to solve because nothing else matters. Nothing else is going to work in the Caribbean. We could release whatever we want to release. We could talk all this good stuff. If the trust is eroding and the trust isn't there, we're only going backwards. We're not moving forward in the right direction.
Keron, one of the things I definitely got to say is that you definitely opened our eyes to a lot of things. And I think the audience is going to appreciate um, your insights and basically everything that you had to say about this trust problem, about the problem with payment solutions, about the issues with the mindset of especially Caribbean people, and how it is that we could actually solve these issues. Um, what I'd like to say is thank you so much for joining us today on the session. We definitely appreciate it. So,
No, thank you for having me, man. Thank you. And again, these conversations are always needed because if one person hears this and this is what they needed to just to feel like, okay, I got what I needed to move forward, then hey, we did our job. So these conversations are needed. So thank you for having me on the platform.
Yeah, man.
thanks, Wow. Yeah. So
Oh,
to
man,
our
been great
audience,
speaking with you.
yeah, man. So to our audience, just tell our audience where is it that they can actually like find you, some of your social handles.
Keron Rose everywhere. KeronRosc everywhere. Whether you jump on Google, you jump in Chat GPT, Gemini, Perplex, it don't matter where you go. I'm literally everywhere. So just punch in my name on any social platform or any platform that you use, AI tools, whatever, you will get my information. You could follow me and you could find me everywhere, man. So just punch my name in anywhere you go and you'll get my name and my content. You can follow along and learn more about building your digital presence, monetizing your platforms, and tapping into all of these amazing global opportunities that we have in the digital world.
Awesome. So guys, we'd just like to thank you guys for just hanging out with us again, and we'll see you next time on CryptoNoobz. Peace.